Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's webinar, Indonesia-Australia Comprehensive Partnership Agreement Investment Opportunities in Indonesia's Special Economic Zone, which now is held in Bali. The Honorable Mr. Rizal Afandi Lukman, Deputy Minister for International Economic Cooperation Coordination from the Coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs, the Honorable Ms. Sally Dean, Minister Commercial and General Manager ASEAN, Senior Trade Commissioner Indonesia from the Australian Trade and Investment Commission. The Honorable our speakers today, Mr. Nizam, Director General of Higher Education, Ministry of Education and Culture, the Honorable Mr. Yudil Chatim, as representative of Directorate General of Vocational Education, Ministry of Education and Culture, Mr. Enoch Suharto Pranoto, as the Secretary of the National Council for Special Economic Zone, that currently also served as the Deputy for Strategic Policy, Batam Indonesia Free Zone Authority. The Honorable Mr. Budi Santoso, Vice Chairman 3 of the Implementation Team, National Council for Special Economic Zone. The Honorable Mr. Bobby Chris Siagian, Director for Asia Economic Cooperation, and Honorable all the guests. I'm Dinar, your host for this event, and thank you for joining us today. This webinar is aimed to be the first step for Indonesia to introduce its special economic zone for the Australian education institutions and also Australian businesses in general. We hope to deliver benefits for both sides. But before we jump into main event, we are going to have two opening remarks that will be started. The first opening remarks by Deputy Minister for International Economic Cooperation Coordination from the Coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs. Please welcome Mr. Rizal Afandi Lukman.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Very good morning to all of you. I'm pleased to welcome as well as to greet all of my friends here. I notice Professor Nizam, thank you also for joining with us, Pak Yudil Chatim, Ibu Selidin, Pak Budi Santoso, Pak Noh, Pak Bobi, and other distinguished speakers and all participants representing our line ministries and institutions, as well as business and education sectors in Australia and Indonesia. Before I begin, I would like to thank the Secretary of the National Council for Special Economic Zone and team for organizing and inviting me in this very important webinar. I'm pleased to meet you all. Thank you for participating and giving me a chance to deliver these opening remarks. This event has added on to a timely moment to outreach to business sectors, the policies that the Indonesia and Australian government adopt in recent time, and the implementation of Indonesia-Australia Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Now, allow me to briefly update all of you on the current Indonesia situation and economic policy outlook. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected everyday life of people, our health, our social life, and our economy all over the world. Indonesia remains steadfast in handling the health impact of the pandemic, but also has pushed its effort to bring our economy back on its feet again. The Indonesian government has introduced a number of health and economic policy measures, both fiscal and non-fiscal stimulus, including recently the issuance of Omnibus Law, which is aiming in continuing the domestic reform. On the fiscal side, the government has allocated about 43 billion US dollar of the state budget. This has resulted in the rate of economic growth up to 5.05% in the third quarter this year, compared with the growth in the second quarter of the year. Measures taken by the government are expected to rebound economic growth ranging from 4.5% to 5.5% next year. The pandemic challenge has also proved the resilience of Indonesia and its people. The strategic position support Indonesia great potential to collaborate with any countries to overturn the pandemic hardship into a more positive outcome. With crisis comes opportunity. The situation triggered by this pandemic has created a momentum for Indonesia to transform our economy, upgrade our workers' skills, and accelerate digital transformation. The government and business is adapting to a new way of working from offline to online, as we are now also doing through this webinar. The participating people in this event is spread out in Jakarta, in Bali, in Australia, and also in other places in the special economic zone in Mandalika and so on and so on. So this is also proving that we are now utilizing the advanced technology to cope with the COVID-19 pandemic. With this technology accelerating the realization of Industry 4.0 as well, and create a friendlier and a more sustainable economy. As part of the economic transformation process, Indonesia has recently promulgated the Omnibus Law on job creation that is expected to enhance the ease of doing business in Indonesia, attract investment, and thereby boost job opportunities and economic growth. This law will simplify, synchronize, and streamline our previously existing hyper-regulations and that often hamper foreign business in Indonesia. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, we all know that Indonesia-Australia Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement has entered into force since 5th July this year. Under this umbrella agreement, both sides are looking forward to collaborating in human resources in higher education, such as universities and quality technical and vocational education and training. Indonesia's 15 special economic zone dispersed from the west to the east of Indonesia can support this purpose. Special economic zones are supported by infrastructure provided with special facilities and incentives and guaranteed by the law for the ease of doing business. Based on regulation of the Ministers of Research, Technology and Higher Education of the Republic of Indonesia, number 53, 2018, foreign university also has possibility to establish in special economic zone. These special economic zones require private sector involvement, support, and investment to be fully utilized, supported by skilled workforce. And I believe that today's forum can promote Indonesia special economic zones to fulfill the needs of Australian private sectors. The Indonesian government is always open and stand ready to discuss any suggestions to improve our business climate. We also remain committed to improving our investment climate and ease of doing business by continuously undertaking necessary economic reform. And this is timely because right after the adoption of the Omnibus Law, the government now is preparing some implementing regulations to be formulated within this month and next month. So it is timely for all of us to provide any inputs, any feedbacks for the implementation of the Omnibus Law, particularly on the cluster of the Special Economic Zone. Having said this, I encourage that we utilize this forum to gain as much as understanding on investment in Indonesia, especially in our special economic zones. I hope that there will be a meaningful takeaway from this meeting for your continuing and expanding business in Indonesia. I wish you all having an enjoyable discussion and look forward to productive and fruitful results from the meeting. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rizal, for the opening remarks. And now we're moving on to the second opening remarks that will be delivered by the Minister Commercial and General Manager ASEAN, Senior Trade Commissioner Indonesia from the Australian Trade and Investment Commission. Ms. Zalidin, time is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Selamat pagi. I'd like to start my remarks today by acknowledging and thanking the Coordinating Ministry for Economic Affairs for Indonesia for their efforts in organising today's event. And thank you to Pak Rizal Effendi Lukman, Deputy Minister for International Economic Cooperation, for your initial remarks too. As you've heard, my name is Sally Dean. I'm Austrade's Senior Trade Commissioner for Indonesia and also General Manager for ASEAN. Normally, I would be based at the Australian Embassy in Jakarta, but currently I am back in Australia's capital, which is also my hometown of Canberra. I'm really pleased to welcome you all to this webinar, which is focused on looking at investment opportunities in Indonesia's special economic zones and free trade zones. Indonesia and Australia are close neighbours and we enjoy a great relationship in many areas. Many of you, you've just heard that our free trade agreement, the Indonesia-Australia Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or IA-CEPA as it's more commonly known, entered into force on the 5th of July this year. This is a major milestone in the bilateral relationship. Under this agreement, Indonesian and Australian goods and services have improved market access in both directions. However, IA-CEPA is more than just a trade agreement. It adds another bow to our already strong relationships across economic, security and strategic partnerships. IA-CEPA contains strong outcomes for Australian investors and service providers in areas such as vocational education and training, health, tourism and mining services. It also provides a set of high-quality rules governing the treatment of services and investment, as well as modern rules covering digital trade. The mutual benefits that will be derived from this agreement are critical. Australia wants not only a stronger Australia, but also a stronger Indonesia, knowing that economic growth in both our countries enhances security and stability. By reducing trade barriers, we can grow our economies, and by encouraging trade and investment in areas of high potential for Indonesia, we can build greater capacity for our continued successful joint development. Today's webinar forms part of IA-CEPA Business Connect, Austrade's IA-CEPA promotional campaign. IA-CEPA Business Connect is a 3-month-long series of digital events aimed at raising awareness of IA-CEPA, but also showcasing the opportunities arising for Indonesian and Australian businesses to work together. So far, IA-CEPA Business Connect has delivered around 60 digital events over the past 3 months, including with Pak David Santoso from Singasari SEZ. These events have been focused on building stronger investment and trade relationships between businesses in both our countries. Interest from Indonesian and Australian businesses in IA-CEPA Business Connect has been strong, which suggests certainly to us that companies and businesses from both sides are keen to work together across trade, investment, education and tourism. Australia's capabilities to supply goods and services in areas such as agribusiness, food and beverages, education and training, healthcare, mining, engineering, technology and tourism are widely recognised. And as we all know, Indonesia is seeking to attract more foreign investment, especially into those sorts of sectors. And that investment is aimed at helping Indonesia achieve its ambitious economic development goals. Australia is a natural partner for Indonesia as a close neighbour with considerable expertise in those sectors. IA-CEPA will help us form those partnerships by providing greater certainty and protection for Australian investors and investment in Indonesia. So, as the title suggests, today's webinar is all about providing an overview of Indonesia's special economic zones and free trade zones. You're going to hear more about the investment opportunities that are available in these SEZs, as they're known, and how Australian businesses can invest to take advantage of the incentives on offer. I'd really like to acknowledge the other speakers that are following today and very much look forward to their presentation. And lastly, I'd like to thank everybody that's joined us today. I hope you find this, as previously stated, that you get something out of today. And thank you for joining and look forward to hearing from today's speakers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Zali. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on to the main discussion that will be led by our moderator today, Mr. Bobby Chris Siagian. Mr. Bobby Chris Siagian, an MBA graduate from University of Maryland, USA, and formerly graduated as the Bachelor of Business Administration, majoring in Production Management from Western Michigan University, USA. And now, please join me welcoming Mr. Bobby.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. Thank you very much for attending this wonderful webinar this morning. Earlier, we have opening remarks by Pak Rizal Apandi Lukman, Deputy Minister for International Economic Cooperation, Coordinating Minister for Economic Affairs. Thank you for the opening remarks, Pak Rizal. And also Ibu Selidin, Minister Counselor, Minister Commercial and General Manager ASEAN, Senior Trade Commissioner Indonesia from the Australian Trade and Investment Commission. Thank you, Ibu Selidin, for the opening remarks. And next, we will have a discussion and we will have a presentation. We will have three presenters today. The first one will be Pak Nizam, Director General of Higher Education, Ministry of Education and Culture. Welcome, Pak Nizam. Thank you very much. And then the next is Mr. Yudil Chatim, as representative of Directorate General of Vocational Education, Ministry of Education and Culture. Thank you for coming also, Pak Yudil. And the next one presenter is Mr. Eno Suharto Pranoto, the Secretary for National Security for Special Economic Zone, which is also the Deputy for Strategic Policy Batam Indonesia Free Trade Authority. And then we will have a discussion, and we also invite one discussion, Mr. Budi Santoso, Vice Chairman of the Implementation Team National Security Council for Special Economic Zone. In connection with the signing of the Indonesia-Australia Comprehensive Partnership Agreement, or we call it IA-CEPA, whereas one of the agreement is to support greater partnership in technical vocational education and training, TVET, between Indonesian industries and Australian TVET providers. As has mentioned by the MC earlier, the webinar will be held as the first step to introduce Indonesian Special Economic Zone and Free Trade Zone to the Australian education institution and Australian business in general. through the strengthening of vocational education throughout Indonesia Special Economic Zone, it is expected to increase productivity, competitiveness, and innovation of industries within Indonesia Economic Zone. And then we welcome the audience to have questions during the webinar. You can put the name, organization, and the question during the webinar. And also we invite the audience to download the material from the room chat. We already provide that, so you can download it. But before I give the floor or the presentation to Pak Nizam, I would like the audience to answer one questionnaire. The questionnaire number 1 is, which one of the following field area you are of the expertise? So I would like to invite that the audience to give answer on this, and then during the webinar. Okay, next I would like to invite Pak Nizam, Director General of Higher Education, Ministry of Education and Culture. Pak Nizam graduated from University of London in UK, both for master and PhD degree. Pak Nizam appointed as Director General of Higher Education, Ministry of Education and Culture on July 21st, 2020. Pak Nizam, I would like to invite and please have the presentation. Thank you.
Terima kasih Pak Bobi, Pak Rizal Afandi, Ms. Salidin, Pak Budi Santosa, Pak Yudil, and all delegates, distinguished delegates, honorable guests. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning to all of you. First of all, it's an honor for me to present in this webinar to present about the opportunities in higher education in Indonesia. May I have my slide, or can I share my screen? May I share my screen? Okay, so thank you very much. So currently the slide, please. Yeah, so we see that foreign higher education present in Indonesia, slide please, will give a lot of benefit to the local university. One is for benchmarking, and also currently more than 100,000 students from Indonesia goes abroad to get higher education studies. And that's of course outflow of devisa. And with the presence of foreign higher education in Indonesia, we will have benefit in terms of human resource development, as well as opportunities for joint and collaborations in research and publication and innovations. Australia is our closest neighbor. I think it's very well known globally in having good universities as well as research output. Slide. Yeah, currently the gross enrollment rate in Indonesia, or gross enrollment ratio in Indonesia, is still relatively low. Only 1/3 of high school graduates can get a place into higher education institutions, and we need to expand that further with a target of 37 to 38% by 2024. And for that, we invite also foreign higher education institutions to invest in Indonesia. And as we know, there are many incentives for that, tax holiday, and the living cost in Indonesia is relatively well, modest, and opportunities for research collaboration is very challenging, and also many fields of research we can do together, like micro biodiversity, cultural diversity with more than 600 ethnics in Indonesia, on geology as part of the Ring of Fire, the growing economy, and the third largest democracy, largest Muslim population with moderate Islamic belief. And also we see a very dynamic transformations in economy and society in Indonesia. And of course, the growing middle class populations is thriving. Slides. And for foreign higher education institutions to establish their presence in Indonesia, these are the current regulations. One is the that globally ranked among 100 US top university, or by invitation from Indonesian government. If we see the program or the university fit into our need, then we can invite the university to come to Indonesia. And we believe that universities that come to Indonesia should have the commitment to partner with Indonesian higher education institutions, either public or private. Currently, we have 122 public universities and more than 4,500 private institutions, higher education institutions. So it's quite a number of them, and 8 million of students in this higher education system. Based on the constitutions, education is part of public goods, so the education should be formed as a non-profit entity by forming foundations or associations with the principle of not-for-profit organizations. And fourth, it has to meet the quality needed. Otherwise, we already have so high education institutions, 4,700 high education institutions in Indonesia alone. So we also expect that postgraduate programs to be developed in the special economic zones, given the need of the development or accelerated development of the special economic zones. And commitment to operate in areas as determined by the government, in this case in the special economic zones, and committed to recruit international students of minimum 20% of the total number of students. And qualifications of graduates is the same as foreign higher education institutions from the home country. So it's not a spirit quality, it's not a different quality with the home country's higher education institutions. And the qualification of the lecturers should be equal in standard with the home country's present. The quality of lecture infrastructure and facilities is also of the same standard as the home country's establishment. And the support from the embassy is of course needed to make sure that the government of the university establishment is aware of their presence and support their presence. Slide. These are sets of regulations related to foreign higher education institution establishment, but although there are so many, but basically it is very simple. Let's next. Yeah, so these are the basic regulations. Slides. Yeah, so these are actually the law on higher education that stipulated that the curriculum for higher education has to provide these 4 compulsory subjects. This applies for Indonesian citizens. So in the case of foreign higher education institutions establishing their university or their higher education in Indonesia, these 4 subjects need to be in place for Indonesian citizens. Slide. sorry, those 4 courses only for undergraduate programs. This is the basic principle. Obtain government permit, not for profit institutions, cooperate with Indonesian universities, so collaborate with Indonesian universities, and prioritizing Indonesian lecturers and education personnel or supporting staff.
Kita 2 menit lagi Pak, silakan, makasih.
Perhaps go to last slide. Sorry, so many prepared. Just go to the last slide. One slide before. One slide before last slide. Sorry. So yes, so this is the latest degree. So the foreign higher education institution has to be established by non-profit foundations, and it can be 100% owned by FCI and established in the special economic zone of high quality and offering for national subject for Indonesian citizens, and collaborate with local universities, and also actually the mobility without movement is also possible through online learning. Last slide. I just want to give you the progress of the Monash University establishment. Currently, the foundations of Monash University have been approved, and principal permit from the Ministry of Education and Culture also had been given, and proposal for the establishment of 3 graduate program of the Monash University had been submitted and reviewed, and now at the stage of preparation for the infrastructure and recruitment of lecturers. So we are looking forward to see Monash University to start recruiting their students in the coming years. And with that, I conclude my presentations, and thank you very much for the attention. I give back to moderator Pak Bobi.
Thank you Pak Nizam. Thank you very much for the presentation. Before we go to the next presenter, I would like the audience to answer the second questionnaire. The questionnaire will be appear in the laptop or in your computer. Take a few seconds for the second questionnaire. Next, I would like to invite second speaker, Mr. Yudil Chatim. He is a representative from Director General of Vocational Education, Ministry of Education and Culture. Mr. Yudil, please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
This is business and industry. So this Directorate of Partnership and Alignment of Business and Industry is also a new one. We are try to approving the link and match program that we already have in the past for link and match. Main strategy should meet the minimum condition. Our Director General said that condition of marriage, not only MOU signing, like a sleeping MOU or half sleeping MOU, right? We have to massive marriage between vocational education and business and industry. So we need the more than certificate of completion, but we need also certificate of competence after they are studying the schools, yeah, even in vocational high schools or vocational higher education. So not only hard skill, soft skill, and also partnership is implemented in this program. So we have 9 packages for the link and match program. Next slide, please. So we are supporting to doing link and match between vocational education and business and industry. The first is we are doing together the curriculum that implemented from industry to schools. So this curriculum need to be introduced from industry to our student in school, so they don't just learn like a study in usual. So they have to, in vocational education, they have to learn the curriculum from industry. So the second is also we have a program for inviting instructor or teacher from industry. It's around 50 to 100 hours per semester. Hopefully from industry, instructor from industry can give their experience and also their knowledge based on industry. So we can learn directly from the person that doing this every day. The third is internship. So minimum for 1 semester in industry.
Izin Pak Yudil, kita punya 3 menit lagi Pak, silakan. Terima kasih.
Internship minimum for 1 semester. So we have agreement between Kadin, in Indonesia Industry, and also Ministry of Education. So the fourth is absorbing graduate from the industry, and if it's possible, the industry can have the scholarship for us, and also internship teacher or lecturers in industry. And then we are also hope can doing the certificate of competence for student and teacher. This is also from industry. And if it's possible, we are also hope there are donation from industry, and we also supporting for building the teaching factory, teaching industry, and also the last is product delivered to market from industry and vocational education. So we are welcoming for Australian partner to join with this package. So we are waiting for the cooperation. Okay, Pak Bobby, I think this is all from our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pak Yudil. Thank you for excellent presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, we have heard two important presentations, first from Pak Nizam and then Pak Yudil, where we'll see how Indonesia is open for the education and vocational training. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Eno Soeharto Pranoto, the Secretary of National Council for Special Economic Zone, and also Deputy for Strategic Policy in Batam Industrial Free Trade Zone Authority. Pak Eno graduated from Erasmus University Rotterdam and University Pendidikan Indonesia, and has been appointed to the Secretary of National Council for Special Economic Zone in 2010. I think Pak Eno will explain all the special economic zone or even free trade zone which is available for higher education investment for Indonesia. Pak Eno, please, the time is yours.
Good morning, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the time, Pak Bobby. In this occasion, I would like to present something with regard to the special economic zone in Indonesia. As you know that there are some background use special economic zone. Yeah. As you know that in early development of special economic zone in 2019 was due to Indonesia high economic gap between regions. Yeah. So you can see in the slide that more than half of national GDP was contributed in Java Island, or with around 59%, yeah, followed by Sumatra, 22.7%, and East Indonesia, which only contributes 18.3% of the national GDP. And Indonesia SEZ basically developed in order to accelerate the economic growth of the nation and to distribute the wealth or tackling inequality between regions. SEZ are established in a geographically limited area where the territorial boundaries are clear. And also Indonesia SEZ are strategically located close to the sea and airport that connect zone to the global market as well as main resources. Whereas both central and local government provide the fiscal and non-fiscal incentives. Regarding the development of SEZ, there is a division of roles between central and government and local government, and also private sectors. The central government has several roles in establishing standard, guideline, and manual for SEZ, as well as providing incentive and facilities to attract the investor. And local government also has a important role in developing good business system, good business ecosystem, and providing accessible services as well as administration land for investors. While private sector also has important role in developing and operating the zone and optimizing employment, and it can improve the economic development. Slide 3, please. Until 2020, there are in total 15 different SEZ which have different primary activities. From 15 SEZ, we can divide 9 SEZ are mainly focusing on the manufacturing industry, and the rest is tourism. Such as, for example, Arun Lok Sumawe in western part of Indonesia, in Sumatra, with primary activities including oil and gas, petrochemical, agrobusiness, and paper industry. And also in Semangke SEZ, we focus on palm and rubber industry. And Garang Batang SEZ, which will become the center of bauxite industry. And for Kendal SEZ, which in our first SEZ in Java Island, will produce export-oriented goods with focus on textile industry, furniture, food and beverage, automotive, and electronic. And Palu SEZ, with primary activities consist of nickel and iron ore industry, cacao industry, seaweed, and rattan processing. And the other in Sulawesi, Bitung SEZ, has coconut processing, fishery abilities, and herbal pharmacy. And the other in Kalimantan, we have one SEZ there. Main activities are palm oil and lodging industry. And also in the eastern part of Indonesia, Sorong SEZ, with nickel smelter, roasting, and palm oil industry. And also in Sumatra, we have one Tanjung Api-Api SEZ, which focused on rubbery industry, palm oil industry, and petrochemical. This is 9 SEZ, which is basically for developing of industry. Other than manufacturing SEZ, also we have tourism as primary activities. For example, Tanjung Layang is located in the beautiful Bangka Belitung Island. Tanjung Lesung is located in Banten, Java Island. Mandalika SEZ will host international scale event MotoGP in 2020. Morotai SEZ, which is located in north of Maluku, which have beautiful beaches and resorts. And Likupang SEZ, located in North Sulawesi nearby Bunaken, and offers some of the best coral reef diving in Southeast Asia. And lastly, Singasari, which not only will introduce Japanese culture, but also become a hub of digital entrepreneur. Next slide, please. With the variety of location and primary activities, there are a wide range of investment opportunity. The first one, investment was as a tenant in SEZ on different business sectors such as palm oil, rubber, petrochemical, fishery, automotive, tourism, and with the issuance of law of Cipta Kerja or Omnibus Law, open up the possibility to set up a business in the education and health sector in Indonesia SEZ. So this is I think the new policy in the future. There's the opportunity in developing of the education and health sector. And then investment as SEZ developer by making joint venture with available SEZ to operate and manage SEZ. Also, there are possibility to propose a new SEZ with location and industry area choosing. And lastly, investment opportunities are also open as infrastructure provider, such as development and power plant, water treatment plant, wastewater to support current SEZ. It is also possible to invest in regional infrastructure by developing highway, port, harbor, airport, railway, or electricity, water and gas supply to support the special economic zone. This is some incentive for investors who are invested in the special economic zone. As mentioned before, the goal of SEZ purpose is to boost the competitiveness and attract investors. In this chapter, I will explain the competitiveness of Indonesian special economic zone, which include incentive and potential market to be developed in Indonesia. Okay, this is a corporate income tax incentive here. Take holiday incentive, including those for developers. You will be given 10 years zero GIT for a minimum investment of 6.9 million US dollar. For the tenants, depending on the minimum investment, you will be given 10 years zero GIT for minimum investment of $6.9 million. 50-year zero CAT for minimum investment of $34.5 million, and 20 years zero CIT for minimum investment of of 69 million US dollar. And also, we provide the tax allowance and apply for all other designated industries, including reduction in net income of 30% of the amount invested, prorated at 5% for 6 years. And also, losses are carried forward for 5 years and could be extended in 10 years. And accelerated depreciation and amortization, and dividend tax 10% of lower for treaty countries. This is also applied for all the investor or tenant. Slide. This is the value-added tax and luxury tax. Yeah. Value-added tax and luxury tax from outside SEZ are applied for all industry, which include value-added tax and luxury tax would not be collected. And then delivery of taxable goods, delivery of taxable services, contract manufacturing, and repair during development stage. And next slide. Also, the government provides import incentive for capital goods, for example. The exemption of import duty, value-added tax import would not be collected, luxury tax not collected, import income tax not collected. And the other one is also the government provide incentive for raw materials. Defer import duty, value-added tax import not collected, luxury tax not collected, import income tax not collected. And next one. The government also provide some non-fiscal incentive. Yeah. Other than are also given non-fiscal incentives such as net export, no export obligation. Full foreign ownership is allowed. Negative risks are not applied in SEZ. 0% duty to product with at least 40% of local content. And then limitation of goods not applied to enter SEZ. Services for investing will be one-stop services without the need to go to different stakeholders. All incentives are provided by SEZ administrator. Next, for foreign workers, is also FOI user could be extended up to 5 times. And then temporary resident status for foreign workers and their families. And then permanent resident status for property holder and senior foreigners. And also land titling, right to us title up to 80 years, building right up to 80 years, and special accelerated procedure to get rights. And then this hope and incentive in sub-Saharan zone are not the only factor to boost SEZ competitiveness. To further increase SEZ attractiveness to investors, Indonesia SEZ will focus development of the following strategy. First one, increasing export-oriented products which have global value chain, such as fashion, industries, furniture, automotive, and textile. And the second one, to compete in global supply chain, future institutions need to focus on the automation and the development of industry 4.0 and all industry sector. And also the third one is developing the downstream industry, which not only process raw material from mining and farming, but also gives added value and increasing contribution to regional economic development. And then fourth, develop industry which have high economic potential, such as information and technology, financial services, education, as well as healthcare, special economic zone. Lastly, to improve balance of trade by acquiring industry which will substitute import in the following sectors like chemistry, pharmacy, machinery, and also electronics. By following the strategy, SEZ would continue to further improve in competitiveness and attract wide variety of investment to special economic zone. Next. Lastly, with this slide, I will finish my presentation. Hopefully, my presentation would give insight to all participants and build and create opportunities which would benefit Australia and Indonesia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pak Eno, for the presentation. I think we have finished the three presentation. And before I invite the three special economic zone to promote their economic zone, I would like the audience to answer one more questionnaire. How important government support for the establishment of foreign higher education, vocational education, or other services? Yeah, please, audience to answer this questionnaire. Next, we have three special economic zone in this opportunity to present their authority, so we can see how the affordability of the three economic zone. The first is Kendal Special Economic Zone, and then Mandalika, and then Singasari. The presenter for Kendal is Ibu Juliani Kusumaningrum, representative from Kendal Industrial Park as the developer of Kendal Special Economic Zone. I would like to invite Ibu Juliani to have the presentation. Please, Ibu Juliani.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Juliani, so thank you for allowing me to explain about our project Kendal Industrial Park. So we are the industrial township located in Central Java in Indonesia. We are the biggest industrial township with the status of special economic zone. Next, please. So we also have a strong G2G network, as well as fully supported by Indonesian and Singaporean government. Next. I will run through the background of our company. So this is the milestone. We are recently quite new. So we were established in November 2016, officially launched by President Jokowi and Prime Minister Lee from Singapore. And a year after that, in September 2017, there is a training center specialized in furniture industry. It is owned by the Ministry of Industry of Republic Indonesia. So at the moment, it is already operating with 300 students, and it is a full scholarship program. Then at the end of last year, in December 2019, we are officially becoming special economic zone. Next. And just to give you a background of our shareholders, next, 51% it is owned by the local partners. It is a pioneer industrial township in Indonesia, 51% by PT Jawabeka, then 49% by Semcop. Semcop is a subsidiary of Temasek Holdings. And as you can see, I actually display all the portfolio of both companies. Next. Next. And just an overview of the demographic in Central Java. We are actually quite big in terms of population, 34 million. Then active working population, it is aged between 20 to 45 years old. It is 50%, so it is 17 million. Next. And how about the industry already existing or already established in Semarang? Semarang is the capital city of Central Java. So three major industries are F&B, furniture, rubber, and plastic. Next. And just to give you a snapshot where we are in Central Java. It is easily accessible through road and also through airline. It is only 470 kilometers, which can be reached within 4.5 or 5 hours to Jakarta, and even to go to Surabaya, it is only 3.5 hours via toll road. Next. And we are Kendal Industrial Park, so we are located in Kendal Regency in Central Java, with the population of 1 million. Then half of the population, it is the active working population. Next. And just as a comparison, I said previously about the capital city of Central Java, which is called Semarang. It is, and our location itself, it is in Kendal. To go to Semarang, the city center, to the international airport in Central Java, as well as to the international seaport, everything can be reached within 20 to 25 kilometers, or time-wise, it is between 30 minutes to 40 minutes only. Next. Yeah, so this is our master plan, the bird view for the first phase, 1,000 hectare. We are currently in our first phase, 1,000 hectare, and we already categorize it based on the industries that we would like to attract. Next. So as of today, from 2016 up until now, we already have 63 different companies that have joined us. So 3 major industries, they are in fashion, electronic, and packaging. And in terms of country of origin, majority coming from Indonesia, followed by China, Taiwan, and any other Asian countries like Japan, South Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, and so on.
Izin Bu Juliani, kita punya 1 menit lagi ya. Silakan Bu.
Yes. Yeah. So regarding the target industries, so these are the target industries we would like to attract in our industrial township. So starting from food industry, furniture, fashion. For fashion here, it is textile, garment, apparel, chemical, then automotive industry and electronic. Then, as we all know, Australia is the leading sector in Australia. One of them is actually education. And for education itself, it is actually a software of our industrial township. While our hardware, it is the infrastructure, both macro and also micro infrastructure. That's why we think education plays a very important role in this case. So at the moment, we only have furniture industries, as I mentioned before, for the training center. It is run by the Ministry of Industry, while the market demand to be filled for the education itself, it can be from F&B sector, from automotive, as well as electronic. So I hope we can speak further, we can talk about it further, what kind of cooperation we can do in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Juliani, for the presentation of Kendal. Before I invite Mandalika, I would like to have the audience to answer another questionnaire, questionnaire number 4. It is appears in the for the audience. How important infrastructure to investment in aspect to develop a university or service industry? That's the questionnaire. Next, I would like to invite Mandalika to have presentation. The presenter will be Mr. Andi Fahri, the representative from Indonesia Tourism Destination Corporation as the developer of Mandalika Special Economic Zone. Mr. Andi, please, the time is yours.
Thank you for the opportunity given. Could I get our slides up, please? Yes, first of all, I would like to introduce you to our tourism destinations in Mandalika. Can I get the next slide, please? It is dubbed as the Indonesian next tourism destinations. So it's not on baseless claim. First of all, I would like to give you context about the tourism destination itself. The geographical context is just 30 minutes flights from Bali, 1 hour and 45 minutes flights from Jakarta, and regionally connected to other regions like Singapore and Australia, just only like 3 hours flight and 4 hour flights away. So as a tourism destination, it's quite strategically connected. Next slide, please. And our development span around 1,175 hectares, and it's our hotel rooms. It's a planned maximum capacity is around 16,000 hotel rooms. Now, this is an important context because in our development in Bali, 1 hotel room equals to 1.6 manpower needed to develop the tourism destinations. So you can imagine if this development is going to be fully developed, how many people how many manpower are needed around this area of development. Next slide, please. Now, what is the differentiations between Mandalika and other tourism destinations? We already established several points of the differentiations. In this slide, as you can see, there's the 5 differentiations. The first one is the MICE and street circuit, which all already heard that we're going to develop a street circuit here in Mandalika, as mentioned previously by Pak Enoch. This is our main closest development that we're going to prove that we are developing this area seriously. Next slide, please. Now, this is our several confirmed development and existing development and under constructions development. So, as I previously mentioned about the 16,000 hotel rooms, right now in the pipeline is around 1,700 room keys of hotels. So if you point that by 1.7 people, it's going. We're going to have need a lot of manpower in over like 3 years and 4 years later. Next slide, please. Now, this is what we have available to offer, because a lot of people are always jumping to ask what you have over there in the Mandalika. So we have what we call a lot, SP lot. So all the information is here. We cannot sell the land. We only can long lease the land. So, but to do the long lease process, this is basically the investment process that we're going to have. It's going to be open. Everyone have the same opportunity of investment processing here. Next slide, please. We also give you a basic commercial terms components of what we usually doing here in the Mandalika. So it's basically a land lease. We cannot sell the land around here. But there's several assessment fee and other commercial component around here that which we can discuss it later on details. Next slide, please. Now, this is what the previously mentioned about what we have in the development pipeline right now. We're going to develop a street circuits. Next slide. So yeah, we're basically going to develop a 3 entertainment and sport district right now. Sorry, a 3 separate district. The first one is the sport district and the street circuit, as shown in the presentations, and we're going to develop on the right side.
Izin Pak Andi, kita punya 1 menit lagi Pak. Terima kasih Pak.
Next slide, please. Next slide. This is the government support from the president himself. Next slide, please. And this is our predictions of our projections actually for the how many people that is going to need it around here. It's over 26,000 jobs. And infrastructure improvement right now is already being developed. And this is the projections of all the Mandalika development. I would like to add one video if it's possible. There's one video at the end of the presentations. Next slide, please. It's right on the end of the presentations. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Andi, for the presentation. Excellent presentation. Next, I would like to invite Ibu Nia from Singasari. Ibu Nia Limanto is a representative from Intelligentsia Graha Sama, the developer of Singasari Special Economic Zone. Ibu Nia, please, the time is yours for the presentation.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, welcome. Thank you very much for the opportunities given for Special Economic Zone Singasari. First of all, I would like to send my the regards of Pak David Santoso, the CEO of PT Intelligentsia Gratama. He's very sorry that he cannot be here himself, but he sends his regard to all of you. And we hope to speak with you, all of you soon. And so first of all, I would like to give a brief introduction about Special Economic Zone Singasari. Slide, please. Yes, so Special Economic Zone Singasari, as mentioned earlier by Pak Eno, is the Special Economic Zone number 13. We are located in Java, and we are the first digital Special Economic Zone in Indonesia, and it's located in East Java. We have a land of 120 hectares, and the basic infrastructure is already there. And actually, we recently celebrated the first anniversary of Special Economic Zone Singasari, as the government decree was issued last year, October 2019. Next, please. So we have two main activities agreed by the government. So we have the tourism designation and also technology development designation. Next. So these are a few of possible activities like under tourism and under technology development. So for the purpose of this presentation, we would be mainly focusing on technology development. Next. So if we speak about the location of Special Economic Zone Singasari, it's very strategic. It's located in East Java province, and it's close to many access like airports, port, and we have a recently opened exit toll, Singosari, and it's only 6 kilometers from there. If the pandemic is over, we are very happy to welcome you in our place. Next. So recently, in September 2020, we had a webinar with Australia as well. And during that webinar, we also discussed some opportunities for education and digital sectors in Singasari Special Economic Zone. And I am sure some of you attended that webinar. So probably some of this presentation I will be giving is a bit redundant, but I will also share some updates that happened since then. Next. So as mentioned in the webinar that we had in September, we want to have the first integrated digital ecosystem. As you know, digital businesses in Indonesia are growing rapidly, flourishing. We have some unicorns that we all know, like Gojek, Traveloka, and there are a lot more that are coming up and are ready for business right now. However, in Indonesia, we still don't have an integrated digital ecosystem to support digital businesses, the new startups, to support them in different sectors like technology, financing, regulation. So that's why Singasari Special Economic Zone would like to have this integrated digital ecosystem to support the digital businesses in Indonesia. Currently, we have some companies, startups, the education institutions that have signed agreement, MOU with Special Economic Zone Singasari. So in your screen, you see a few of the companies like AWS, Telkom Indonesia, and we have Telkom Sigma, and from education institutions, we have ITS Surabaya, Yayasan Pendidikan Telkom, State Polytechnic of Malang, and also recently signed MOU with Muhammadiyah University of Malang. Next. So Malang is a home of 60 universities, and many Indonesian students are going to Malang to study. So there are a lot of high quality educations there. And also this is a fact that not many of you know, that many digital workhouses and workforces in Indonesia are coming from Malang. So there are a lot of digital potentials in Malang. Next. So that's why we would like to have this digital integrated ecosystem. And we are working together with corporation, with government, with communities.
Bu Nia,
to make
1 menit
sure,
lagi waktunya Bu, silakan. Terima kasih.
to make sure the digital integrated ecosystem is flourishing and sustainable. Next. So these are the 3 quick wins that we would like to have is Cloud Innovation Center, Digital Valley, and Game and Animation Factory. Next. Education is a very important role in Special Economic Zone Singasari. So since we last spoke, we had an MOU signed with MOEC, Ministry of Education and Culture. And this is a good sign and a good step in having education as the main sector or a very important sector in Special Economic Zone Singasari. And with that, I would like to end this presentation. And we would like to welcome any digital businesses, education institution, training providers, university that would like to have a branch campus maybe in Indonesia or in Special Economic Zone Singasari, or having any kind of collaborations with us. So for more information, you can reach out to my number or follow our link mentioned in the screen. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Over to you, Pak Moderator. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ibu Nia. Thank you very much for all the 3 presentations from 3 special economic zones, which we pick as suitable for to invite Australia for invest in Indonesia, because the 3 special economic zones are very related to the education, vocational, and then for tourism, where the very good business for Indonesia and Australia. I think next we will have discussion. We will have the next session. It will be discussion, and then before I invite go for the discussion, I would like the audience to answer one more questionnaire. Questionnaire number 5 is how important potential demand students as investment aspect to develop university or other service industry. Please the audience to answer the questionnaire in your laptop or computer. So next we will go to the question and answer. Before we go to the question and answer, I would like to invite Pak Budi Santoso, Vice Chairman 3 of the implementation team, National Special Economic Zone, to have comment on the presentation and to have feedback also for the Special Economic Zone presentation earlier. Pak Budi, please to have your comment. Thank you.
kasih Pak Odi. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon also for those in Australia. In this opportunity, I would like to add some information regarding the topic of this webinar this morning. First, I would like to talk about the omnibus law, which is also mentioned in the opening by Mr. Rizal. This new law is actually a breakthrough in education and medical sectors, since the law had opened a foreign institution and also medical institution to operate in Indonesia. I could inform you that there was a long and tough debate in our parliament for these issues. And finally, the parliament could agree to open those two sectors for foreign institutions, but only inside the special economic zone. Of course, for Indonesia, this opportunity is indeed very positive, since our government now is focusing in human resources quality development. And also, as requested by the law, at the moment, the National Council of the Special Economic Zone, together with the Ministry of Education and Culture, now is preparing the terms, conditions, and also the criteria on foreign institution who could allow to operate in Indonesia. And I do hope in this opportunity, in this webinar, we could also hear from our Australian colleagues what is the climate limit, so we could maybe could consider and put it in our regulation. This is very important for us because we have 1 month's time to prepare those criteria to invite the foreign education. And the last remark is concerning the position of Australia and for Indonesian students. At the moment, Australia is a top destination country for Indonesian students. And I think this is a good sign that most of the Indonesian students are already familiar with the Australian education, Australian quality in education. That's why we do hope that you could start to open the foreign branch campus in Indonesia. And finally, I would like to welcome you to operate as soon as possible in Indonesia. Thank you very much, Pak.
Thank you, Pak Budi. Thank you. Pak Budi is a lifetime expert of special economic zone. Thank you, Pak Budi. Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to have a question for the floor. While you are typing your question, we already have some question. This first question is for Pak Eno and Pak Budi. The question is, in the midst of global uncertainty, how serious is Indonesia to attract foreign investors, and what have the government planned to increase foreign direct investment? So Pak Budi and Pak Eno, please reply to the question. In this current situation, what regulation has been established, like omnibus law and others? So maybe that's the first question. Please, either Pak Eno or Pak Budi to answer the question. Please, Pak Budi. First, silakan Pak Eno, please.
Okay. Of course, the government is very serious, to support or to accelerate this economic zone. Yeah. it is indicated maybe by the Omnibus Law, or Undang-Undang Cipta Kerja. In this kind of law, the government also regulate about the SEZ. One of the important things I think in these laws that the government open, for example, the education and healthcare. This is one point, and then the other one also the government's simplify the business procedures, and others the investor can enter the SEZ. In addition, also the governments provide more about facilities. So there is also some maybe some indication that the government's very serious to develop the SEZ of the country. In others, all investors with invest in SEZ can safely and then get some profit in this kind of business. Thank you, Pak.
Thank you, Pak Eno. Pak Budi, please, to add some comment and answer.
Yeah, I think it's enough, Pak. Mungkin cukup Pak Budi, biar.
Okay, Pak Budi. We have also another question coming for Pak Nizam. The question is, what program and curricula that expected can be developed in foreign higher education within Indonesia special economic zone? Please, Pak Nizam, to have answer the question. Pak Nizam, are you still joining us? Or maybe a representative from Pak Nizam office? We invite from Ministry of Higher Education to respond if Pak Nizam is not available, or Pak Ridwan.
Okay, thank you, Pak Bobby. Sorry for you repeat the question, please. Pak Bobby.
Okay, the question is what programs and curricula that expected can be developed in foreign higher education within special economic zone?
Thank you, Pak Bobby. As they mentioned by Pak Nizam before, that we invite the best university to come to invest in Indonesia, to operate in Indonesia. The idea is that the university, they have their own curricula. What we mean is that when the university operates in Indonesia, they have same standard what they have in their home country. That's the idea. So the curricula, the infrastructure, teaching staff, and so on and so forth should be the same exactly what they have in their home country. That's the main the idea. That's my question, my answer, Pak Bobby. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Ridwan. We also have another question coming. It's about a vocational question. What are the vocational education programs that currently most needed to increase the competitiveness of Indonesian workers? I would like to invite a representative from vocational education Directorate General to respond to the question. Please, Pak. Pak Fadil, ya.
Okay, so still mute, yeah. So we
Ya,
have,
silakan Pak. Ya, please Pak.
We have some programs like upskilling and reskilling for the teachers, and also we are doing the partnership between business and industry with the vocational education. So we already visiting 4 places now in Batam and in Mandalika, and last week in Sorong. Now we are in Manado to join with Bitung SEZ, yeah, economic zone. And next week we will visit Balikpapan for encourage local government to push the industry to make a marriage, we said marriage, to join marriage with the vocational education. So that is the most important that we are doing now for the vocational education. Sir.
Thank you, Pak. I think it is very important for the vocational training. I think I remember we have cooperation between Indonesia and Singapore for vocational training in Kendal. So we we encourage the Australian university or college to have a cooperation with us in a vocational training. Next, we have a question from Pak Jimmy, Ministry of Village, for Pak Andi, Ibu Juliani, and Ibu Nia. And the question is, in perspective of business, how important rural communities surrounding industrial zone to attract investment? Please, I think first Ibu Juliani to answer, and then Pak Andi, and then Ibu Nia for this question. Thank you.
Okay, to answer the question about the rural communities, we actually in Kendal itself has quite a high population. And active working population, that means the productive age, it is one of the tools that can be used. But however, at this stage, we find that education service is a little bit behind from the improvement of our industrial park, as well as the improvement of the infrastructure done by the local government. So I guess the opportunity is there, the human resource is there, but we just need to insert the software, the right software. Thank you.
Thank you. Bu Juliani, next, Pak Andi.
From the perspective of tourism, actually, the rural development is the integral part for us. And we also have like this desa wisata that under ITBC coordinations also in our surrounding environment. So this is actually, we cannot separate between the rural development in the surrounding of the tourism destination. It's an integral part of the development itself. Even in the Bali that in the Nusa Dua that we developed, we also developed desa wisata surrounding the Nusa Dua itself. So yeah, we basically cannot forego the rural development around the.
Thank you, Pak Andi. Next, Ibu Nia.
We are empowering the rural communities surrounding the special economic zone Singasari and also reaching out until the Greater Malang. We have recently organized cloud computing training with AWS to provide cloud computing educations for the SMK, for the high school level of vocational education in the Greater Malang area, and that is one of the activities that resources in the area of Singasari Special Economic Zone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Nia. I would like to invite more questions from the participant or the audience. From the Australian side, I think we need to have the question. You can raise your hand or you can turn on the video. We have to make it IA-CEPA not only trade increasing but investment also. That's why we offer many opportunity for Australian investment in Indonesia. I think we have IA-CEPA, which is, I think, the third after the first Indonesian CEPA is with Japan, Indonesia-Japan EPA. And then I think we have with Chile and then now with Australia. So this is very important for Indonesia. So we invite the Australian question because this is, I know that Australian is the same with US, are interested in education and healthcare business, but now we have the opportunity to have a discussion on education. So if you have a question, please raise your hands. Thank you. Now we have Mr. Michael Fay to ask question directly. Please, Mr. Michael.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Michael, please.
Yes. Okay, great. My question is for Andi Bakri from Mandalika.
Yeah.
Because the Northern Territory Government is hosting a BET webinar on the 19th of November, and the Northern Territory has a special link with Mandalika, and I would like to know about the areas where there are skill gaps in the Mandalika.
We lost your sound, Mr. Michael, please. Pak Andi, can you hear a complete question from Mr. Michael? Pak Andi, can you hear a complete question from Mr. Michael, or you want me to ask Mr. Michael to repeat the question? If you can hear, you can please respond to Mr. Michael's question.
Diulang.
Mr. Michael, can you repeat the question? We cannot hear your question earlier. We cannot hear your audio. Please, if possible, to ask the question again. We cannot hear your audio. If possible, to ask question in chat if you have difficulty with the audio. Mr. Michael, can you hear me? I think we lost the audio, yeah? Okay, I think I welcome, invite Mr. Michael to have the question in chat room, so we can read it and then ask Mr. Andi to respond. Now we go to the next question. The question is for Pak Budi. The question is, one of the biggest issue to invest in Indonesia is difficulty of procedure, as well as investment permit. Is there any difference in the procedure and permission in Indonesia today? Is the permit? It means permit. Pak Budi, please, if you have any response about the question from the floor.
Okay, Pak Robi, thank you. As also mentioned by Pak Enoch, in special economic zone, all issues of for the investor is done inside the special economic zone. So we have administrator there. They will give you any permit you need inside the special economic zone. And also concerning the sector, education and medical sector. Yeah, now we discuss with the Ministry of Education and Culture. So far, we will. There are some circumstances that you face when you will operate in Indonesia, like it's mentioned by Pak Nizam. First is mandatory local content, obligation in utilizing local actors, and also the non-profit principle for the institution, and also obligation to cooperate with the local institution. We will discuss it with the Ministry of Education and Culture. How far these issues could be relaxed inside the special economic zone. That's Pak Bobby. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pak Budi. Yeah, permit and procedure is always a big issue for investor, and I also know that land acquisition is also a very big issue. That's why investing in special economic zone is very important, because the land is secure. Now we go back to the question from Mr. Michael Fay to Mr. Andi from Mandalika. The question is about the skill gap between the communities living around KEK Mandalika Special Economic Zone. Could Mr. Andi explain about the skill gap and which industries sector does Mandalika Special Economic Zone need in hospitality and tourism? Please, Mr. Andi, to respond the question from Mr. Michael.
Yes, Pak Michael, thank you for the questions. So the main gap is basically just the basic hospitality skills, because as we know, several households in here, they got their manpower came straight from Bali instead of educate locals here in Lombok. So ITDC as a stakeholder in here also gives several scholarships to local people to study in Bali instead of in here, because we don't have that hospitality school here in Lombok. So yeah, the main feasible gap in the area is the hospitality skills and education in hospitality. I hope it helps.
Thank you, Pak Andi. Thank you, Mr. Andi. I think Mandalika is promising special economic zone. I think we plan to have MotoGP in Mandalika, and also with the plan to establish marina, we plan to establish 27-hole golf course. Is a very promising special economic zone for tourism. And then now we will have another questionnaire. Before we end the discussion, I would like the audience to have another questionnaire, the questionnaire number 6. How informative is today's webinar? Please, audience, have a comment on this questionnaire. I think thank you very much. Before we end the webinar, I would like to thank you for the Australian Embassy and Australian Trade, as well as Ministry of Education, Pak Nizam, and then the representative from vocational education, Thank you for all participants. We have this webinar because we really want to have higher education investment in special economic zone. I think we all know that we have American University in Paris. Why don't we have Monash University in Serang or in Singasari, something like that. That's why we want to continue this webinar with serial webinar, because as we have talked with many colleagues and also from the embassy, I think Australia as well as United States are interested in education investment in Indonesia. That's why we will keep continue. We will also coordinate with Ministry of Education and Culture and how we really develop the special economic zone for higher education and also for vocational. And then we add some information that in Kendal we have cooperation with Singapore for vocational training, and even we will continue with other places like in Serpong we have Apple Academy there, so we can also invite Australian university or college to have cooperation. We have Apple Academy in Serpong, and then we also invite to cooperate also with Telkom University in Bandung, as well as we designed it with the Singapore about the vocational cooperation. And then also we also invest for tourism. I know the Australia interested for tourism industry, in tourism investment. We have Mandalika, and then we have Singasari for eco, the first eco digital special economic zone. That's why this is not the end of the discussion. We will continue, and then we will also coordinate internal. We now have a special economic zone under the new omnibus law. I think we will make it easier for the procedure and investment procedure and everything. Even coordinating minister for economic affairs already plan to visit Korea for socializing omnibus law. So I would be happy also to arrange the visit to Australia and other countries which are the most important trading and investment partner for Indonesia. Thank you very much for this webinar. I think please give applause to all participants and also for all speakers for this wonderful webinar today. Thank you very much. Now I will give time to MC to continue our webinar. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bobby, for running the discussion very well. And finally, we've come to the end of today's event. And of course, to the speakers, panelists, the presenting SEZs, and all the distinguished guests, thank you for the invested time. We hope to hear a follow-up, and we're looking forward to it. And until next time, this is your host signing off. See you at the next event. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.